Tom Cruise is an inspiration to everybody. He proves that you can do anything if you set your mind to it and are willing to risk your actual life. I love him so very much. He actually inspires me to be a better person. Is it because he's short and I am also not very tall? Is it because he's old and I also feel that I am actually, despite my very youthful looks, quite old? No, it has nothing to do with the fact that I relate to him on those two levels. I'm just generally inspired by him. Am I going to risk my life for entertainment? No, but he inspires me nonetheless to be a better man, a better, not tall, medium-aged man. So I just saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Part 1. The 7th film in the Mission Impossible franchise, and the 3rd film this year to be a Part 1 of a Part 2 finale situation. Every big IP is taking a page out of Harry Potter's film book. And I love it. I personally love it. I am the only person in the world to like Fast X. I understand that. I'm a Fast and Furious apologist. So for me, we are now 3 for 3 for giant big IPs doing a Part 1, Part 2 situation this year. It's truly been a wonderful year for movies taking their finales and being like, 2 movies? Can please play us twice? Yes, I will pay you twice. I'll pay you 3 times. I do not care. Hobbit this bad boy. I will watch these movies until I die, which, despite not being Tom Cruise's age and still feeling older, and, you know, I'll like bend down at work and I'll be like, oh, my knees. You know, so I feel and probably look older than Tom Cruise, but I am not as old as him, and yet I will die before he stops making Mission Impossible movies. And honestly, that makes me feel very happy. Mostly. The dying part, I'm less happy about, obviously. But Mission Impossible movies till I'm dead? Let's go! Mission Impossible 7 is everything you could possibly want in a Mission Impossible movie. But what makes a Mission Impossible movie? Is it the increasing stunts and spectacle that Tom Cruise puts himself through? Or is it the fact that the impossible missions are often quite possible? Or is it the absurd hot nonsense that is the Mission Impossible masks? I mean, it's all 3 of those things, of course. But for me, the masks, that's like the little cherry on top that makes the cake. Actually, you know what? Better. That's the pineapple you put on a pizza that makes the pizza. Get a Mexican pizza? Delicious. Like, that's like a 9 out of 10. Put some pineapple on it? 10 out of 10 pizza. Oh my god, I'm gonna have pizza tonight, I think. This film does so much right. The score, the cinematography, the action, the stunts, the acting. Oh my god, Hayley Atwell as our new main female lead. Spectacular. So good. Fits into this universe like a delightful little Hayley Atwell glove. Oh no, that sounds gross. I'm not saying put Hayley Atwell's skin on your hand like a glove. I'm saying she's good in this movie. But this movie's use of the most absurd, over-the-top, and silly part of this franchise being the masks, it's so good in this movie. This has the best mask situations in the whole franchise. There is a moment in this movie in which someone like sighs and goes, "Oh, of course a mask." I almost died of joy in the cinema. It was so good. The only reason I didn't die is because I still had more Mission Impossible 7 to watch. So my heart was like, not yet. The highlight, of course, is the stunts and the action and the spectacle. And in this film, it does not disappoint. This film is just beautiful to look at. The visuals, the contrast of colors, the different set pieces and situations and unique locations that we go to in this movie are overwhelmingly gorgeous. The cinematography is always so beautiful. It's able to capture the action where you can always see what's going on and you can always see Tom Cruise doing the stunts, but it also lets you see and experience these places that they're going to. A film recently that I saw that I felt was so bland and ugly and flat visually, this film does similar set pieces. There's running on top of trains, there's car chases in beautiful cities. And yet in that film, I was like, oh my god, so ugly, stop doing action, please. In this film, they are long, extended action set pieces, and I could have watched them for days. It is just so crazy how different it is when the cinematography is able to perfectly capture action to make it feel and like authentic and real. and able to capture the city so it actually looks beautiful. Like, the thing about a good globe-trotting adventure is you want to be able to feel like you're there experiencing these cities or these beautiful mountains or wherever we are, and have the richness of colors and texture and just make the film feel like you're actually watching something that is really happening. And Mission Impossible does that in such a way where, even though every now and then there is visual effects aiding and helping these beautifully well-made stunts and choreography and all this real practical stuff going on, there is definitely visual effects at times. And whilst you can notice it, mostly because so much of it feels real, that when it's not as real, you can kind of notice it. But because it's so creatively interesting and so beautiful to look at, you're able to kind of just get over the fact that it's visual effects, because the visual effects are just helping tell the story, tell the action set piece, and help them do what they're wanting to do, which is always really interesting and terrifying and exciting. There are so many interesting, emotionally draining and amazing, draining in the best way, like it's overwhelming but in an exciting way, not in a, oh, just stop, like another movie that may or may not be a dial of disappointment. I think the best way to kind of explain how well crafted the story is in terms of making these set pieces, which is kind of the big draw and highlight that these films can do over other films. Like, look at what we made Tom Cruise do. Isn't he crazy? Like, there's one big stunt. I won't say what it is in case you haven't seen. And that moment is amazing. It's so good. But the 20 minutes building up to that bit and the 25 minutes after that bit, just as good, if not better. A big moment like that, there's a big spectacle stunt, is only as good as the emotional build-up, the character work before that moment, and there's so much humor and heart and emotion and stakes leading up to this moment, and then afterwards, the escalation and the just like the building of more craziness and more things. It is overwhelming. All our veteran Mission Impossible characters are back. Vin Rames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, all of them are amazing, really good. But they are, exactly what we've come to expect from them from all the films they've been in. The real highlight of this film, outside of course Tom Cruise, is Hayley Atwell. Hayley Atwell is so good in this movie. You think her and Chris Evans as Peggy Carter and Captain America have good chemistry? Their chemistry is essentially a giant pile of poo compared to her chemistry with Tom Cruise. It is electric. It is surprisingly amazing. Like, the highlight of the film, outside of the stunts and the action and the spectacle and all that stuff, is Hayley Atwell in this movie. She is so good in this movie. It's easily the best thing I've ever seen her in. She is so fun and charming. Her arc is really interesting and very unique. We haven't seen that before. But the way she bounces off Tom Cruise and they are able to bring out such good humor from each other, she just understands exactly what she needs to do, and she fits into this universe brilliantly. I loved her so much in this movie. It surprised me a lot. Tom Cruise is always amazing, and I love him so very much. And this film is no different. He knows exactly what he needs to do for Ethan Hunt. If he needs to be stoic, he's stoic. If he needs to be funny, he's funny. The way he's able to do these big action set pieces, but bring humor out and act in these crazy, high-octane, insane stunts and moments is really amazing. He has so much fun playing this role and just doing all these crazy, insane things. It's just infectious and fun to watch. I think he's absolutely amazing in this film. I don't think he's any better than he has been in any of the movies. He's been great. Even in Mission Impossible 2, he is great, despite that movie being not great. But the one thing that always continually surprises me is how good he is at physical comedy during these stunts and set pieces and action. And he's just able to kind of bring so much joy out of all these moments. And yet when it gets serious, like almost self-serious at times and very emotional and intense, he nails it. He just kills in this movie. And this movie does have 2 or 3 moments that are surprisingly emotional and dark. Even though the film is maybe one of the funner movies in the franchise, it has its dark, emotional moments, and he kills it every single time. And the villain in this movie is really unique and different. It's something different that we've never seen before. We've got some villains in this movie that feel very much like, oh, we've seen this type of villain before. The main antagonist of this film is something so unique and different. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but as soon as you realize what it is, you're like, oh, that is different. And it is almost insane and ridiculous to a point of absurdity. But I don't know, like, I just feel like the way the world's going, it feels horribly relevant and kind of like it's definitely a 20 out of 10, but it's a Mission Impossible movie. Of course, it's taking this idea to the extreme, but there is like a nugget of horrible truth. And the way every day it becomes more relevant and more relevant, it just feels like it's a really clever villain to use for this franchise, where it makes sense in this spy world to kind of go down this route, but it also is something that keeps popping up again and again and again. And it's starting to become something that could potentially be very scary in the future. One thing that really struck me about this movie is the soundtrack. The score in all the movies has been really, really good. It is just propulsive and energetic. It's loud, bombastic. But for this film in particular, it really felt like they grabbed that 45 seconds of the Mission Impossible theme song, like the boom, 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 like just that 45 classic Mission Impossible song. And they didn't just play that at big epic moments throughout the film, but they kind of twisted it and changed it and morphed it and utilized that feeling, that type of music, those sounds, and made it slower, faster, or they just grab a little part and replay it and it would build and build tension and anticipation. The amount of times in an action set piece, it would just be like boom, 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 and it would just be building and building. The whole movie had this ongoing sense of just excitement and dread and anticipation and just this feeling of just movement, this going feeling that was infectious, and it carried the film. And I think it actually helped the pacing and the editing of the film, because it's almost 3 hours, but it doesn't feel it at all. I could have watched 25 hours of this movie. That's not true. I could have watched another 2 or so hours before I would probably be overwhelmed by emotions, but it just generally felt so fast and like well paced, but the score carried you through these moments in just this really amazing way that I don't feel like the scores have done previously. This is the ultimate movie to see in the cinema. Absolutely go see this in the cinema. It floored me. This movie is probably not flawless. There's probably issues or something. Who cares? I couldn't care less. This is one of those movies that just overwhelmed me in every way. I just found it so infectiously fun and joyous and thrilling and exciting from the second it started to the second it ended. So move over classic spy characters like James Bond, Jason Bourne, or Dominic Toretto, because Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt is the greatest spy character of all time. Thanks for watching, guys. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, subscribe, like, comment. What did you think about this movie?